So in this presentation, I'm going to show you how to update a Leica GNSS receiver. In this case, I have went to Leica My World, and I have entered my serial numbers for my GS16 antenna. I'm going to download the current keys. You'll do that by pressing the download key file here. Save that to a file, and then I'm going to go to software. And once I'm on the software page, I will download the software for our update. Now, this does take a couple seconds to update. You'll notice here that you can select different release numbers. I'm going to download version 8, that is current version here at the end of 2018. And once I have the software downloaded, I will be able to begin the upload process. You also want to download the web server language here, and both of these files can be placed on for a GS16, they would need to be placed on the system directory of a micro SD card. For a GS18, you could use a standard SD card for the update. So I've finished the download of the software, and now I'm ready to do the update on my GS16 antenna. I have connected my GS16 antenna to my computer using a GEV234 cable that can be purchased from your Leica dealer or distributor, and have connected those up. You will need to load the drivers for that hardware for that cable. Once that's done, you can connect the cable, and then you can open a web browser. And when you have a web browser open, you'll type in the IP address 192.168.254.2, and that will access a web page that resides on the GS16 or on your any of your GNSS sensors from Leica. So the first thing I want to do is update my license keys. To do that, I'll go to User, go to Upload Option Key, and then I will browse to the location of that option key. Now, in this case, I don't store the option key on my SD card or micro SD card for the GS16. I actually have that on my computer. Sorry, hit the wrong button. Go here, browse for the file. I know that's in my downloads. Go to my download file. Here's the license key. I'll press open. Then I'll press the computer disk icon here, and the license is being updated. Once that's done, you'll get the notification that your option key is successfully installed, and you're ready to go to the next step, which will be updating your firmware. So I can go back to User. If we want to check the current version of the firmware, we can go to Current Status and go to Receiver Information, and you will notice that we do have here our current firmware versions, and we also have the purchased options on this particular antenna. We hit our back button. I'll go back to User, go to Load Firmware. So I've loaded my micro SD card into my GS16. The micro SD actually goes in under the battery slot. There is a port there which you can load the SD card. And so now I'm ready to load the firmware. I'll check on the box that says firmware files on my GSSD card. I've read the terms and conditions, and I'll press load firmware, and now the firmware is being upgraded. And the firmware upgrade is complete. That took about 4 or 5 minutes. The time will vary depending on what's being done in each version. And one other thing I should note is that you definitely want to make sure that you use Leica SD cards or micro SD cards for your upgrades.